Welcome to our market update. We at Coldwell Banker Hearthside are again pleased to welcome you to our latest video update of important real estate market conditions for single-family homes here in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Our ongoing objective is to relay current information, trends, and observations. I'm Bob Williams, and today I'm joined by Chris Harding, also of the Bucks County management team. Now typically, we look at conditions on a year-to-date basis. The format today between Chris and myself is intended to provide you with a brief recap of the month of January 2011. The way our industry works, typically this data is released well over a month or so after, so we'll be looking at February information probably over the next several weeks, and we'll provide that to you as the year kicks off. So first, which is pretty traditional for us, and that's to think about the number of homes that have sold. In the month of January, the sales result for single-family homes sold was essentially flat throughout Bucks County, and again, all of our comparisons are relative to the prior year. So that's January 2011 against January 2010. That's about 230 homes. We're going to have a graphic up on this in a moment for you to look at, because I know sometimes that can be helpful. Comparing 2011 to a particularly strong month last year due to the tax credit. If we were doing this report last year, we'd be talking about January 2010 as being up 14.5% over the prior year. That would have been January 2009. So you can see that there was a lot of juice there in that month that we were comparing to.
So Bob, how did this apply to maybe the individual markets that we do business in?
Yeah, it's a great question, because we do talk about, Chris, we talk about the county, obviously, and that's a large frame of reference, and you've got hundreds of homes and a lot of data. But individual markets, of course, are where people buy and sell and live. Regarding our individual markets, frankly, unit sales were a bit of a mixed lot. We noted that heavily traded markets, which are moderately priced, were strong, and by heavily traded we mean that compared to, say, maybe a market that has less population in it, a little bit more rural, a more heavily traded market has quite simply more density, more homes. And moderately priced pretty much says what it says, that if the average price in Bucks County is at X, that these homes tend to trade a little bit more favorably than that. And here's a couple of shout outs. Falls Township was up 100%. Now remember, we're talking about a county that was essentially flat. So Falls up 100%, Newtown 86%, and Middletown 83%. Now to contrast that with a somewhat similar sized market, but a little bit higher on the pricing scale, Lower Makefield was off, but a relatively modest 6%. Okay, if we're good with that, let's move to pending sales. We often talk about this as the way that, one of the few ways we have in real estate to kind of look forward. Pending sales are those contracts that were executed in the month of January, and overall pending sales were down 18% versus January 2010.
Now that seems to be a very large number. Can you tell us a little bit more why they were down 18%?
Yeah, that's a good catch too, because when we talk about the overall market in terms of sales being flat, and then we say 18% being down in terms of pending, it would seem to indicate some degree of weakness. Again, going to come back on the tax credit item. Further on in our follow-ups here, we're going to have a chart that will display this a little bit better for you, and we talked about it a couple times last year. But imagine the year 2010, the one we're comparing it to, as having 12 months in it. We believe the effect of the tax credit really pushed forward or pulled forward business that would have otherwise been done, say, maybe in December, November, October, and possibly earlier, pulled that forward into the first part of 2010, giving it a little extra stimulus, hence the word tax credit stimulus, giving it a little extra stimulus that really caused the market to boost up sales, doing what really the politicians intended, and that was really to stimulate sales, but probably didn't have much effect on the total year. We think it kind of mixed things within the current year.
So you've talked about number of homes sold, you've talked about pending sales. How about a little bit of information on some pricing?
Great. Clearly the two things that occur really in any business, in the sale of anything, how many things do I have I sold, at what price, and the last thing we'll get to, and that is how many things do I have to sell, and at what price. So one of the things we obviously always key on here is what are the prices of the homes that have sold. Now, we mentioned in terms of Bucks County 230. It's real early on to get an indicator in terms of those 230 homes, because total Bucks County typically sells well over 4,000 homes. So it's early on. In general, from a recap point of view, most markets that we operate in Bucks County, and as you know, for our management team, we track a goodly number of those markets, so almost 20 of them. That basically most markets sit at pricing points really last seen in the 2004, 2005-ish time frame. So kind of think of it as a mountain where the peak got kind of chopped off a bit. So if you're sitting here currently and your home in 2004 was worth $500,000 or $400,000, that's probably the value that you're looking at now. The overall market did move up 4.3% in Bucks County for full year 2010, but even with that, we're still seeing, if you will, the prices back at those levels. Obviously, individual market information could vary. Okay. With that, then, as we mentioned, what have I sold at what price? The last key point in terms of our coverage is turning to homes for sale. Now, the homes for sale is an inventory point in time, and really is a valuable piece of information regardless of whether you're talking about 1 month or you're talking about a year-to-date result. So here we go. The number of homes that people have out on the market right now, single-family homes in Bucks County. A couple price points. The average list price of the home that they're looking to sell, so in other words, on average, people would like to get this number. That's down 2.4% versus the same time last year. So it's interesting to note that there is pricing pressure actually brought on to a certain degree by the sellers themselves. Now, the number of homes on the market, just over 3,900 of them, is actually up 3.1% versus the same time last year, so we have more homes to sell. We kind of view that as a relatively heavy environment.
Okay, now you throw out the term heavy environment. Could you define that maybe a little bit more specifically, what you mean by heavy environment?
Okay, happy to. Again, no real Bible here, but generally speaking, there's I guess a number that we look at in this business, and I'll explain it by both in terms of history and also where we are now. Generally speaking, a market is viewed as balanced. It's kind of equal, if you will, pressure and negotiating power on the part of buyer and seller when there's about 6 months worth of homes on the market. Currently, these homes that we have, 3,900 of them, represent about 10 months worth of homes. So a not just above 6.5 or 7 months, a pretty heavy rate. So that what that means in terms of 10 months, Chris, is that if we brought no new homes onto the market, which of course homes are coming on the market, 300 to 400 every month, it would take this market at the current sales pace about 10 months to burn off that inventory or to absorb the inventory. Sometimes we use the word inventory absorption. Okay. I'll have a bit of a wrap up here and a little bit of a tease as well. We're going to have some Q&As, and we'll do that in a separate session that have come in from our agents, and we'll have some good time going back and forth with that. And as always, we're really charged up and looking forward to covering the real estate market here in Bucks County for you in 2011. As always, to obtain key information about any individual market, please contact one of our great Coldwell Banker Hearthside agents, or certainly, as always, feel free to visit our management team YouTube channel at youtube.com/CBHTeam. Chris, thank you so much.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for spending your time. And of course, you follow Bob on Twitter at @RCodyWilliams.
B. Cody Williams.
B. Cody Williams. And I'm at CBH Chris.
Looking forward to seeing you next month.